Thank you for joining us and for your attention. My name is Sebastian and I'm going to lead you to the first part of this presentation. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to show you a little demo, how a smart device manufacturer can make use of IoT. The idea for this video and most of the agenda is the outcome of a POC we did together with a smart device maker. By the time this video is created, we can call him our customer and we develop a solution with them. A solution to enhance their customer service and the customer user experience. A smart device manufacturer could be in the market for several years, but now he wants to serve his customers with additional services. Services like managing or monitoring devices, providing insights, what is happening with the device, and much more. I think at the end of the video you will already have some ideas what's already possible. An IoT platform can be a big enabler here to support fast progress. Use a platform for the basic stuff and develop a solution that suits your specific needs on top. If you want to give it a try yourself, just click on the link in the description and sign up for a free trial. We at Software AG take a user-centric approach. For that reason, we structured our presentation around personas. We have Yvonne here as our end-user persona. My colleague Murat is taking the role as a product manager and also data scientist, and I will play the admin and will also start in this role. I input my domain name that I want to use, my company name, I input my email, and my password for sure, and click on Create Tenant. Now my tenant gets created in the background, and hopefully I can log in a couple of seconds. What is happening in the background that a separate database is created. So my data that I'm sending to the platform will be completely separated from other customers. So nobody can view my data and it's secure. I have my own user management in there, and all my data is stored in a separate database. Now I try to access. The login interface is already there, and I log in with the email address I previously typed and my password. In Cumulocity, we have three standard applications. This is the administration for the user management, role management, and so on. The cockpit for creating dashboards. We are going to show this later on. But what I want to start with is the device management. If I go into devices and all devices, I see that there are already some devices connected here. What I want to do now is to add another device. And I go to the App Store first, type in the name of the app, it's Cumulocity IoT sensor app, and I already have it downloaded. And here I can connect to Cumulocity. For the connection, I have to type in my tenant name. I can see this tenant name in the previously input domain. Choose the instance. Type in my previously chosen username and my password. Now the device is registering to the tenant. And if I click on View Sensors now, I can already see which sensors are sending to the platform, which is, for example, the gyroscope here. If I change over again to the tenant now and to the all devices where we've been previously, I can now see that my iPhone is also connected now. I can click on it and now we see the basic view for devices. We can see that the device is currently online. We see that it's only for sending data, so I cannot push back any operations at the moment. We see what kind of or what type of device we have here. We can see when it last connected to the platform, which is currently now. And we can also see the measurements. If we switch to measurements now, we see the same sensor data that we previously seen on the phone, now here in the platform. I have my phone placed on my desk. That's why we also see the acceleration so flat. And maybe change to a higher resolution like last minute. We see that the data is coming in currently. And if I move my phone a little bit now, the graph also moves directly. And we also have some else data here. Like gyroscope is maybe also interesting. I'm still moving the phone around, and if I lay it down on the desk, the graph should stay steady. Exactly.
Hi, I'm Yvonne, and now we are switching the personas to an end user. As an end user, I have now the possibility to monitor the conditions of my device via dashboarding. So let's have a look on the Cumulocity IoT Cockpit app. On the left-hand side, we see all registered devices ordered in several groups. Now we select our pre-registered device, click on the phone group, and here we see some predefined pre-registered devices. Let's have a look on our device. And here we see an automatically generated and ready-to-use dashboard. We see some barometer data which are produced and the rotation of the device, how I holding the smartphone, and we see here some acceleration data. Furthermore, we can also send operations back to the device. For example, some messages or the vibration operation. This is very useful if we want, for example, to stop a machine via cloud manually or even automatically if it runs in an unhealthy state. And of course, we have much more widgets. For example, let's have a look on our widget list and search for a gauge widget, for example. Just select this one, the data point which should be visualized, and there it is. So now we want to dive a little bit deeper and see how easily we can create an alarm if a measurement breaches an explicit value. Now we will dive a little bit deeper and see how easily we can create an alarm if a measurement breaches an explicit value. We call these rules smart rules, and we have many predefined templates to easily define those just via the Cumulocity UI. Here we see the previously announced template list. What we are doing now, we are defining a rule to create an alarm if a measurement is breaching an explicit threshold. And here we can now define easily which measurement we want to monitor. For example, the acceleration Y measurement, and define the breach value when an alarm should be created. If it's breaching the value from 0.5 till 1.5, an alarm should be created. So now we see that the alarm is activated. Now we go back to our dashboard. And now I'm going to force an alarm by turning my device around. And there it is. Because those rules are very easy, in some cases we need a higher complex analytical insight of our devices. And usually I need an IT person who can write the code logic. But this is very time consuming, explaining in detail my concerns, talking back and forth. So I need a tool to bring my knowledge of use cases into the system directly without any programming skills from my side. And for that reason, SoftwareG is offering the so-called Analytics Builder. The Analytics Builder is a self-service analytics tool available as an application on the app switcher. First, we are getting routed to the model overview page. Here I can define as many models or templates as I need all by my own. And just with this switch button I can decide to activate or deactivate my own developed models. So let's have a look on the model workbench and create a new analytic model. As you can see, all models are created by using a graphical web user interface. First, what you can see here on the left-hand side are so-called blocks with some predefined functionality. Basically, a model always starts with an input block and ends with an output. Between those blocks, we can use as many so-called processing blocks as needed, like calculations or aggregations, and so on. And if you are missing any functionalities, SoftwareG offers a free Analytics Builder block SDK to develop your own processing blocks and to extend your own model workbench. Now let's start building a small model. Because I want to analyze our smartphone device, we choose via drag and drop our input device to our workbench and define which measurement we want to analyze. Now we are choosing a processing block and calculate the average of this measurement via the measurement output value to the processing block. Define a time window when the average should be calculated for example, every 10 seconds. And now I want to send those calculations back to my device. Furthermore, we can also define a threshold and create inside of our model an alarm. Just put the block in, define the threshold value, and the value is higher than 1, and also add an output block, choose our smartphone device, and if the breached threshold and that's it. Close the workbench view. Now we see here our new created model, activate it, and now it's running and doing calculations in real time on our device. So please let me summarize what are the key benefits of the Analytics Builder. First, all models are running in real time, so all calculations are available just in time. Second, I can improve my condition monitoring capabilities with own defined aggregated values to have more insights of my smart devices. Third, I can define more detailed and complex thresholds and workflows than just using smart rules. And finally, because of self-service analytics, I am not dependent on the IT. I can do all this stuff by my own without any programming skills. Great. Now let's talk about notifications and integration. Additionally, me as a responsible person of those smart devices, I want to make sure that in case I am not available, that surely someone will be addressed and will look at the popped up issues. In that case, I will show you how the escalation program looks like in the Cumulocity IoT alarming disk. Cumulocity IoT has a built-in functionality to escalate an alarm if it was not acknowledged and the issue not fixed. This is how the alarming list looks like. And now I will trigger an alarm by flipping my device and see that here an alarm with a low warning severity was created. And because I'm not acknowledging it, there will be a new alarm automatically be created with a higher severity. And this will go on until highest severity was reached. So because no one is looking at this dashboard 24 hours and just sending an email, it is sometimes not enough to address the right person who can solve the issue. In that case, we need a much more powerful backend integration solution. And this is where Software AG experience and integration comes in handy. Self-service integration is perfect for your own day-to-day integrations to reach fast solutions. And if you have something more challenging, like on-premise integrations or even hybrid scenarios, Software AG can also support you with the capabilities and experience of a year-over-year market leader. With the right integrations in place, an alarm is not only a pop-up on your dashboard. This is how IoT creates a value. For example, to improve the service levels you deliver to your customers, make sure that spare parts are at the right time in the right place. First time fixed rate. And on top, to reduce your own costs. So let's see how the escalation notification scheme looks like. This is my customized notification workflow, where different kinds of cloud systems like Slack or Jira are triggered depending on the current severity state of my alarm. All connectors you see on the right-hand side are offered by Software G out of the box. And if you are missing one connector, you can easily fast develop, write it with JavaScript once, but use it multiple times. The configuration of the connectors is very easy. You just can configure it, authorize to your cloud application, and then create your customized messages and include the information coming from your IoT Cumulocity cloud platform. And there you can see how the message will be automatically created and sent out to the cloud platform of your choice. Now for demonstration purpose, we will see simultaneously how the escalation will rise every 10 seconds after the first low severity alarm was created on the Cumulocity alarming list. And on the other hand side, we will see how the integration workflow will be triggered and which path will be executed based on the current severity of the incoming alarm. Here we go. First alarm was created with the severity level warning. In that case, first an email was sent out. Now the next severity alarm was created, minor alarm, and that's why we have now sent message to the Slack. And again, a new message was created with a high alarm, and now based we have reached the highest alarm, the critical alarm severity. Now we have to open a Jira ticket on our ticket system, and yeah, that's it. So because of the combination of the Cumulocity IoT escalation program and my background integration workflow, I'm feeling now much more comfortable because any kind of problem will be certainly addressed even if I'm not available. With the WebMethods.io user-friendly interface, we can reach fast solutions for your own day-to-day integration tasks. Choosing Software AG, you will get support of a year-over-year market leader in integration. With the right integrated backend systems, you will achieve to turn IoT data into real value. And again, because of self-service, I am not dependent on the IT. I can do all this stuff by my own without any programming knowledge.
Hello, my name is Murat Bayram, and I'm going to be the product manager of the Smart Device Manufacturers company. So my business is to think how the products could be more attractive to the customer. So basically, there's one question I'm thinking of, and that is, what is it that will mainly influence the buying decision in the near future? And if you think about that, it can easily be summarized as software. And for software, we divide that in basically two components. The first one is the basic functionalities of an IoT platform. And this is our domain, and we are experts in that. We do that for almost 10 years, and we had a lot of lessons learned, and we had lots of experience in that. The second component is applications, and this is usually the domain of the smart device manufacturer. They are experts in that. They know their customers and what they require for digital services and applications. So the smart device manufacturers knows the pain and the requirements of the customer itself. There's actually a reason why um, why companies like Adamos, Deutsche Telekom, or even Siemens MindSphere build their application stack on our platform without bothering building everything from the scratch. And as you can see, this is not just our opinion. This has been evaluated by Gartner, Forrester Wave, etc., which makes us the leading IoT platform. So together with the manufacturer of the smart devices, we can create a truly amazing solution that brings services with really good value proposition, very starting early from day one. Because having developers with a certain experience in a domain is an asset, which should be used wisely. So how can we do that? And the answer to that is actually our REST API. Because the REST API is the communication channel we and all our customers use. Everything we develop on our platform relies on this REST API. So every service, every application, every UI you can see in here. The question is now how this could enable the manufacturer. Within Cumulocity comes a full microservice runtime that takes care of properly running applications. And since it's orchestrated via Kubernetes, it scales up and down automatically depending on the workload. Everything that is Docker deployable can be uploaded in here and made available to the customer very easy. So since the development teams know the pain of the desired application of the end customer, a really valuable solution can be provided very fast without building everything from the scratch. And this is a huge benefit and a key differentiator of the own product line. So this is how the business model of the smart device manufacturer changes. As a product manager, I want digital services, or let's call them content, because I want to improve my products against my competitors. And since the differences in the physical product itself will disappear in the near future, the services and the overall solution or ecosystem will play a key role in the buying decision. But this is needed fast and reliable. So as a business head or as a product manager, I want this content fast because the end customer itself sees only the functionality and not everything that was built upon for that. Those services or this content solves a real life pain of the end customer or enhances the productivity. And this leads to a new way of thinking in terms of subscriptions. I can sell those services because my end customer is willing to pay for them. This can be achieved due to the advantages of our subtenant concept of Cumulocity. So right now you can see the tenant of the smart device manufacturer. So we call that here an advanced tenant. And the created tenant we just recently saw at the very beginning is a subtenant in this advanced tenant. And if you click on that, what you can see in here are all the applications that are available because I deployed them on the advanced tenant. So this is what basically the developers generated as services or content. And those can be immediately made available for the subtenant via a click or via a REST call. So I can show you that on here. So for example, if you check back on the tenant I created. So you see here 7 applications that are deployed. And if I go now to the advanced tenant and check for the data hub, which I will show you in a minute, you can just easily subscribe it. And this application is now added to this particular tenant. So if I do the reload in here, just a second, the application of the data hub is now available in here and is ready to use for the end customer. So that's a very easy and handy way to make applications created by the development teams of the smart device manufacturer to the end customer. So, but the idea is now I want to create revenue with these services. So I need to know which customers are working how heavily on each tenant, how many devices are registered, how many alarms were generated, etc. And again, here comes the REST API, which allows to extract all subtenant statistics within the advanced tenant. So I can use this information to integrate those usage metrics data and query it into a billing tool, into an ERP or a CRM system. And I prepared that here with our integration tool at Methods.io. So because we do have a native connector for Cumulocity, I can extract all the subtenant statistics. And as I show it here in the loop, we can easily just push it into a SQL database. But this could also be an ERP or CRM system of the manufacturer or whatever. You basically get the idea. So what I did here, onto the SQL data, I created a little Power BI dashboard, which gives directly insights about the different customers. So which workloads did they use? How many devices did they register within the different months? What services do they use? What's the name of the tenant, etc. And this can then be used, for example, to feed billing tools, or I mean, this is just basically a visualization on the subtenant statistics. And this is how the business model will change for those manufacturers. The physical device itself has become less important, but the ecosystem and the services around gives a very powerful argument for or against a certain manufacturer. And with Cumulocity and Web Methods together, they are very strong and reliable platforms which provide um, the manufacturer to create a very valuable digital services in a very short time period. I was already talking about the data hub, and this was an application the smart device manufacturer made available to the end user. So in here, the tenant we created at the very beginning. And when you think in terms of use cases or user stories, there usually comes very fast the idea of things like predictive maintenance or data analytics, etc. We support that use case with our data hub. And since Cumulocity can connect data from many different devices, there comes the urge to somehow analyze those data. The Cumulocity own operational storage itself is actually not meant and way too expensive to provide a long-term storage. So the data hub offloads the data in a structured way into an AWS S3 or a data lake or a file server and allows analyzing of the data hub via a standard SQL query. So what you see here is you have a UI in order to configure your connections. So you do have a settings page where you, for example, can configure your Amazon AWS S3 bucket connection. But you can also create offloading jobs where you can create an offloading collection, for example, for events or for alarms, together with some description or additional parameters. You can make them active or inactive. And you also see what was the last execution and how many events were involved on that. So you can see that on the status page, for example. So how can you now query this data? And since the Data Hub uses the very powerful engine Dremio, and Dremio supports JDBC connectors, for example, you can actually use any tool that comes with those connectivity functionalities. I created two examples. The first one is again um, just a basic Power BI dashboard. And the very nice thing in here is that Power BI comes with a built-in Dremio connector. So when you add a data connection, you do have the Dremio connector right away. And the only thing you need to enter is actually the tenant where you want to query the data from. So what you see in here is that we already do have all the measurements of acceleration as I put it in the offloading screen, and I can now load those now and do BI dashboarding with different visualizations, etc. The same is also true for Click or Tableau or whatever BI dashboarding solutions you want to use in order to show KPIs. What we also do very often have is the fact that when it comes in terms of data analysis, that data scientists usually use Python or R to create insights about the collected data or to create machine learning models, for example. So another example here is a little Python script where I query data, also again with a JDBC or here it's an ODBC connector in order to query the data from the data hub. So how does this work? I just enter a lot of information regarding where I want to get the data from and how my query looks like, and then I do some just basic visualization. And what you can see in here is that you can see the z-axis and that the phone probability was shaken in here. I mean, you can visually see that, but so this is not really data analytics, but you get the idea. The question is now, how does this become interesting when you think again in terms of personas? So, for example, the product manager, and there are actually two answers for that. The first one is regarding the ability to understand how the customer uses the device and what they do with the devices, etc. But it's also to improve the devices itself. So what are common errors, which parts need to be replaced in a newer version, or how do different parts behave in the real life scenarios beyond testing, for example. The second benefit is actually for the end customer directly, because they know how they also have the ability now to analyze their workflows, their efficiency in the process, etc. on their own. What we also see is that there are people out there that are not 100% data scientists, but somehow have a background of statistics and a little bit of coding. So what we also do have is something we call machine learning workbench. And that's another great tool as an application on the Cumulocity that allows directly within that allows directly data analytics within the application switcher of Cumulocity itself. So what you can see in here is when the page is loaded, that you can import data directly from the Cumulocity or the Data Hub. So it has a direct connectivity to the working instance of the Cumulocity in the Data Hub. And there's also something that is called AutoML, which I mean, of course, it's not making data scientists lose their jobs, but it's probably helping in some of the cases to get a better understanding of the data. So what we could do in here, for example, is we can choose a target variable. We can do, I don't know, like a classification, say that it's a classification problem, and then the model or the learning of the model uh, itself is then done when I click build in here, and it just puts the model in here. So that's that's a rather UI approach in order to create PMML models as a result. And together with the Cementis, which is the machine learning runtime in Cumulocity, this can, for example, predict the target from live data incoming from the devices, for example. And this makes the whole story around the data analytics and predictions very smooth. So let's have a brief sum up of our live demonstration in here. The idea was to give you guidance through different use cases from a persona or user story perspective. So we introduced an administrator that was going to create a tenant for the company and registered devices onto that. So what Sebastian basically did was an example on a smartphone with the Cumulocity IoT sensor app that is available in the App Store, which you can test by yourself. We also showed functionalities for the end user like cockpit or basic dashboarding and alarming, as well as a very powerful analytics builder, which was shown by Yvonne. Together with our integration layer realized through WebMessence.io, we developed the use cases towards integration of third-party applications as Jira or Slack. We showed also the person of a product manager, so somebody that is responsible for the development of the product features or capabilities, and how his or the business model of his company will change and how Cumulocity can help with that. So it was all about digital services, and we called it content to differentiate against competitors. And last but not least, the data hub and the possibilities to offload and query long-term data to provide very powerful data analytics. So we hope you liked the demonstration. Feel free to add comments or reach out to us. And thank you very much and goodbye.